I'll start with a confession most people don't believe the first time they hear it. Warren Buffett is significantly richer than I ever was, and I'm the one who deserved to be richer. That sounds arrogant. It's not. It's just the truth. People assume Warren and I were two old men who walked the same road, read the same books, bought the same stocks, and ended up with the same results. Nonsense. Warren ended up with a mountain. I ended up with a respectable hill. We lived the same philosophy, but we did not live the same life. Let me tell you why. Most people think wealth comes from being brilliant, or hardworking, or lucky. But wealth, real wealth, the kind that grows while you sleep and nags you in the morning, comes from something far more boring. Time, discipline, and refusing to shoot yourself in the foot. Warren was a grandmaster at all three. I was only excellent at two. And trust me, almost perfect is extremely expensive in this business. Warren had one advantage I never managed to copy, no matter how hard I tried. He built the right habits early, and he never betrayed them. I, on the other hand, took a little detour called life. A divorce, a business failure, a few painful episodes that weren't in the financial textbooks. Warren avoided almost all of that. Not because he was lucky, but because he engineered his life around avoiding stupidity. I spent years cleaning up messes. Warren spent those same years compounding. I was learning lessons. Warren was piling up capital. I was repairing leaks. Warren was building dams. By the time I finally got everything running smoothly, Warren's snowball had been rolling uninterrupted since 1941. He had a 40-year head start of clean, uninterrupted compounding. You don't catch up to that. You admire it. People forget that Warren made over 90% of his wealth after he turned 60. That isn't because he changed strategies. It's because compounding finally lit itself on fire after 4 decades of being left alone. Meanwhile, I was still dealing with the chaos of being human. Remember this: a brilliant investor with interruptions will lose to a merely great investor with no interruptions. Warren kept his life frictionless. No divorces, no lifestyle inflation, no hobby businesses, no ego-driven ventures, no partnerships that drained him, no obsession with new toys or new status. He had one addiction: the compounding of money. I respected compounding. Warren worshipped it. Now, most people think Warren and I were some kind of magical duo, two wise men walking around making economic poetry. Let me assure you, Warren is different. He has the temperament of a saint, the patience of a tortoise, and the frugality of a man raised in the Great Depression, which he was. I was impatient when I was young, ambitious, restless. I took risks Warren would have never touched. I built things. I went broke in the real world. I rebuilt. I made mistakes that didn't kill me, but they might as well have, because they killed my compounding. Warren sat there in Omaha, reading newspapers, drinking Coca-Cola, and letting the numbers do the work. And he did that every single day for 80 years. Try beating that. People love asking, "Charlie, if you're so smart, why wasn't your net worth bigger?" I'll tell you the answer they don't expect. Because Warren Buffett lived a nearly perfect financial life, and I didn't. I regret nothing, but I acknowledge everything. I took care of my family. I endured tragedies. I survived the kind of blows that could ruin a man's mind. Those things cost money, time, and energy, and most importantly, opportunity. Warren avoided those blows. He protected the machine. He let compounding run unbroken. You can't compete with a compounding machine that never sleeps, never panics, never divorces, never splurges, and never quits. And you certainly can't compete with a man who understood by age 10 what most people never understand by age 70. If you just sit there, stay rational, and don't screw up, money will do the heavy lifting. Warren mastered that. I mastered it later. And in compounding, later, is just another word for never catch up. Here's the paradox. I'm proud of my life. I'm proud of my decisions. But I'm not delusional. If I had lived Warren's way from the very beginning, no drama, no interruptions, no dumb detours, I would have been far richer. But I didn't. So Warren is richer. And that's perfectly fair. The lesson here isn't envy or comparison or regret. It's clarity. One uninterrupted lifelong habit beats 100 moments of brilliance. Warren understood that. I had to learn it the hard way. Now let me tell you the real question you should be asking. It's the only question that matters. Are your habits helping compounding, or are they silently killing it? Because if you get that wrong, you'll end up like 90% of investors, busy, stressed, smart, and still far behind someone who simply stayed out of trouble. People love to imagine Warren and me sitting in some oak-paneled room plotting our path to billions like two generals planning a war. Reality was much simpler. Warren started early. I started late. And in compounding, late is another word for crippled. Warren was buying stocks at age 11, not reading about them, not dreaming about them. Buying them at 11, I was doing what normal children do, trying to understand the world, not the stock market. Warren didn't bother with that stage. He went straight from childhood into capitalism. By the time he was a teenager, he already understood a principle that most adults still mess up. If you want compounding to save your life, you must give it a long life to work with. Warren gave it everything. His youth, his time, his discipline, his savings, his habits, and eventually his reputation, and he never betrayed any of them. Meanwhile, I spent my early years learning a different kind of lesson, the expensive kind. I had a career in law. I made money, spent money, married, raised children, made mistakes, paid dearly for those mistakes, recalibrated and tried again. Nothing wrong with that. It's called being human. But being human is not optimal for compounding. Warren behaved like a compounding machine before his first shave. I behaved like a regular person for too long. Look at the math. Warren had his first $10,000 before most people decide what they want to do with their life. Then he compounded it at double-digit rates for decades, uninterrupted. By the time I started investing seriously, Warren's snowball was already halfway down the mountain, gathering wet, sticky snow at terrifying speed. People underestimate this. They think wealth is linear. Add a little more. Climb the ladder. No, wealth is exponential. And exponential curves are cruel to late starters. Warren caught the full curve. I caught the middle. That alone explains 50% of the wealth gap. But there's more. Warren didn't just start early. He never changed course. He never woke up one morning and said, I think I'll start a restaurant. I think I'll try real estate development. I think I'll run for office. I think I'll reinvent myself at age 40. No, he picked a game at age 10, and he played it for 90 years. 90 years is a ridiculous advantage. Most people don't stick to anything for 90 days. I didn't stick to my path early on either. Life pushed me, pulled me, punched me, and redirected me. Warren stayed put. He built a fortress around his attention. He protected his time like a rare mineral. He treated distractions like poison. While I was wrestling with the world, Warren was quietly letting compound interest do the wrestling for him. That's the difference. People want some complicated explanation. Busboard and smarter. Was he luckier? Was he more talented? Did he get better deals? Sure, Warren is intelligent. But intelligence without consistency is a waste. Warren had the most valuable trait in investing, the ability to sit still for an absurdly long time. I know that sounds simple. It is simple. That's why so few people do it. Most investors self-destruct by overactivity. Warren avoided that gene. In his 20s, he didn't go around boasting, networking, pretending to be the smartest man in the room. He found a quiet room. Put a pile of annual reports in the corner and stayed there. You'd be amazed how rich you get by doing that for 80 years. I, however, was not sitting in a room reading annual reports for 80 years. I was living a very full, very complicated life, full of responsibilities, full of changes, full of setbacks that weren't fatal but were very inconvenient, and compounding hates inconvenience. If you want to understand why Warren ended up wealthier, you only need to accept one painful truth. Warren lived his entire life optimizing for compounding. I optimized for survival first, comfort second, and compounding third. Let me give you an image. Imagine two men planting trees. One plants a tree at age 10, waters it every day, and never once chops a branch. The other plants his at age 35 after moving houses 3 times and forgetting where he kept the shovel. By the end of their lives, one has a giant forest. The other has a lovely tree. Both did good work, but the results aren't comparable. People want the forest but follow the habits of the man with one tree. Then they wonder why they're not Warren Buffett. If you think this is about intelligence or IQ points, you haven't been paying attention. Warren wasn't richer because he was smarter. He was richer because he started early, stayed consistent, avoided drama, and let compounding run wild for an entire lifetime. That's it. Simple, uncomfortable, impossible to copy unless you're willing to live as boringly and as rationally as Warren did. And most people aren't, including me at least in the beginning. People have this romantic idea that I walked a straight, clean path to wealth, as if I floated through life making perfect decisions, unaffected by reality. Nonsense. I lived a very messy life compared to Warren. Not tragic, just human. And being human is expensive. Warren built a life with almost zero turbulence. I built one with earthquakes. Let me give you the most obvious example. I went through a divorce in the 1950s. Not a mild disagreement, a full collapse. Back then, divorce wasn't a modern inconvenience. It was financially catastrophic. My finances were cut in half. My attention was scattered. My mind was shaken. My future looked uncertain. Warren never had that problem. He married young, married well, and stayed married. That one difference alone, a steady personal life versus a broken one, created a wealth gap that took decades to show up, but trust me, it showed. Compounding doesn't just grow your assets, it grows your mistakes. A messy life is a compounding killer. While I was rebuilding my family, Warren was compounding. While I was paying lawyers, Warren was collecting dividends. While I was regaining my footing, Warren was expanding his base. And none of this made me bitter, because I knew exactly what was happening. You see, people want the rewards of compounding, but not the discipline of designing a compounding-friendly life. They want growth without stability, wealth without patience, success without sacrifice. Warren sacrificed almost everything except compounding. I sacrificed compounding for things that actually mattered. Children, responsibilities, obligations, recovery from loss, good choices, necessary choices, but expensive choix. Then there was my son. Losing a child is not something you move on from. It rearranges you. Those years of grief were dark years. They did not make me a better investor. They made me a better human being. But compounding does not pay interest on humanity. During that period, Warren was not going through emotional devastation. He was not crawling out of bed under the weight of sorrow. He was not rebuilding his inner world. He was reading annual reports. That's not a criticism. That's reality. Life hits everyone differently. Some people get long stretches of calm water. Others get storms. I got storms. Warren got calm water. You don't build the same size ship in those two environments. Most people don't understand that wealth is not earned in the way they think. It's not the brilliance of a single decision. It's the accumulation of thousands of days where nothing disastrous happens. Warren had more disaster-free days than almost anyone alive. That is the real wealth secret. People look at us and think, same philosophy, same partnership, same mindset. So why such a big net worth difference? Because philosophy doesn't compound. Life circumstances do. Let me explain it differently. A portfolio with perfect discipline, but constant withdrawals, will never grow as fast as a portfolio left untouched. My life required withdrawals, emotional, financial, psychological. Warren's life, almost no withdrawals, all deposits. And here's the kicker. Every time you pause, compounding, even for valid reasons, you're not starting again. You're starting again from a permanently lower base. That's the part people never understand. You don't rewind the snowball. You rebuild it. Warren never had to rebuild his snowball. Not once. He protected it like it was holy. Even my career had interruptions. I trained as a lawyer, left law, started building investments, shifted directions, took risks, made mistakes, closed businesses, restarted others. Warren, same job since age 10. He found his lane before puberty and never left it. That's absurdly rare and absurdly profitable. People want my mindset. They want Warren's secrets, but they don't want to face the math of discipline. Warren built a fortress around his compounding engine. I spent years fighting battles that had nothing to do with investing. And here's the part I want you to hear clearly. Most of you are more like me, but you expect results like Warren. You want the return of a man who lived like a monk, while living like a circus performer. You want uninterrupted compounding, with a life full of interruptions. You want exponential growth, with habits that reset you to zero every few years. It doesn't work that way. Warren didn't beat me because of IQ, or luck, or genius. He beat me because he lived a life engineered for compounding. Fewer mistakes, fewer interruptions, fewer disasters, fewer detours. He gave compounding a clean runway. I gave it a runway full of potholes. And even then, I still did well, which should tell you something. If a man with my interruptions can become wealthy, then a person with Warren's discipline can become unstoppable. The question is which one you want to be. People think discipline means waking up at 5 a.m, drinking some awful green juice, and pretending to enjoy motivational quotes. That's not discipline. That's cosplay. Real discipline is doing the same rational thing for decades, long after the excitement is gone. Warren had that from birth. I acquired it painfully, slowly, and far later than he did. Let me tell you a story that explains the whole wealth gap in one scene. In the early days, I'd visit Warren in Omaha. His routine never changed. He ate the same breakfast, read the same newspapers, worked in the same quiet room, went home the same way, slept the same hours. To the untrained eye, it looked boring. To a trained investor, it looked like a compounding laboratory. Every part of his life was optimized for one purpose: maximum rationality, minimum disturbance. Meanwhile, I was dealing with what most adults deal with: unexpected bills, family stress, business problems, legal work, and the occasional bout of emotional turbulence. I lived a full life. Warren lived an efficient one. That efficiency showed up in his net worth. Here's the truth most people can't accept. Warren wasn't richer because he made better decisions. He was richer because he avoided more stupid ones, and he avoided them for a staggeringly long time. Warren never chased hot trends. I watched entire generations lose fortunes in oil stocks, uranium bubbles, gold manias, cryptocurrencies, tech fads. Warren missed all of them. He didn't miss them because he was slow. He missed them because he was allergic to stupidity. People say, "Charlie, didn't you teach him that?" No, Warren came out of the box that way. He had a temperament advantage at age 19 that some people never achieve by age 70. Take envy, for example. Envy ruins more investors than bankruptcy ever will. I have said that for years. But Warren, he didn't have an envious molecule in his body. You could show him someone making $50 million in an idiotic venture, and he'd shrug and go back to reading annual reports. That kind of emotional neutrality is rare and extremely profitable. I didn't have that neutrality early in life. Very few people do. When you're young, you're impatient. You want progress. You want results. You want action. Warren never wanted action. He wanted correctness. And correctness compounds. Here's something else he mastered that I learned later. The ability to do nothing when nothing should be done. This sounds simple. It is simple, and yet it's nearly impossible for most people. Look at a typical investor. The market goes up, they feel FOMO. The market goes down, they feel panic. The market goes sideways, they feel bored. Warren never felt those things. His emotional range was a flat line. That sounds unexciting, but let me tell you, an investor with a flat emotional curve is a financial monster. My emotions were never out of control, but they were human. Warren's emotions were optimized. Another difference, I struggled with the temptation to be clever. Warren conquered it early. He never wanted to be the smartest investor. He wanted to be the most consistently rational one. Most people waste years trying to outsmart the market. Warren simply outweighted it. That's discipline. Consider spending habits. I was never wasteful, but I wasn't extreme. Warren was extreme. He lived like a man who might run out of money at any moment, even when he already had more than he could spend. Not because he was cheap, but because he understood this. Every dollar you don't waste becomes another soldier in your compounding army. And Warren went to war with a very large army. He kept adding soldiers for 80 years, and he never sent them into stupid battles. That's discipline. He didn't care about status. He didn't care about appearances. He didn't care about what other people thought he should buy or do. He cared about one thing, building a bigger base for compounding. If you want to understand why Warren was richer than me, stop looking at the stock picks. Look at the man's habits. His life was structured like a perfectly balanced equation. Few désir, zero drama, constant reading, asterisk, silent thinking, rational decisions, asterisk, a narrow circle of competence, asterisk, no big mistakes, asterisk, 80 years, equals Berkshire Hathaway. Meanwhile, I lived a life full of curveballs. I dealt with law courts, family issues, hospital rooms, and tragedies. Warren dealt with spreadsheets. It doesn't make him better. It makes him more suited for the kind of wealth the world admires. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Warren didn't get richer because he did more. He got richer because he disturbed compounding less. That's the kind of sentence people nod at, then ignore 5 minutes later. They want a clever trick. Warren didn't use tricks. He used discipline so boring that 99% of people could never tolerate it. If you want Buffett-level results, you need Buffett-level discipline. Note Buffett-level intelligence. Note Buffett-level luck. Buffett-level discipline. Most people won't even attempt it. The real question is, will you? If you want the single clearest reason Warren ended up richer than me, here it is. Warren formed the right habits early, and he never broke them. Not once. People think habits are some self-help nonsense. No. Habits are the invisible architecture that determines your entire financial destiny. Let me show you what I mean. Most people form habits around comfort. Warren formed habits around rationality. Most people form habits around entertainment. Warren formed habits around reading. Most people form habits around consumption. Warren formed habits around accumulation. Most people form habits around reacting. Warren formed habits around observing. You can't compete with a man like that. I didn't have those habits when I was young. I had intelligence, curiosity, and ambition, all useful. But my habits were normal. Normal is deadly in compounding. Warren had the good sense or the good luck to get his habits right at an absurdly young age. He read constantly. He saved religiously. He avoided debt. He invested early. He kept things simple. He stayed within his circle of competence. He ignored noise. He focused on the long term. That's not brilliance. That's discipline dressed up as personality. Meanwhile, I had to learn those habits the hard way. After life knocked me around, forced humility into me, and showed me the cost of being undisciplined even in small things. People rarely understand the true cost of bad habits. Bad habits don't ruin you instantly. They delay compounding. Delayed compounding ruins you. Let me illustrate this with a painful truth. Your habits determine how many years of great compounding you get. And wealth is measured in years, not IQ points. Warren had over 70 years of productive compounding habits. Most people don't get 7. Even smart people, even disciplined people, even well-meaning people, because they slip. They break discipline. They get distracted. They chase something. They fall for envy. They try to optimize. They blow money on something stupid. They overtrade. They indulge a little vice that grows into a large tax. Warren didn't slip. Ever. It wasn't perfection, it was habit. When you have the right habits, you don't need motivation. You don't need inspiration. You don't need to be in the mood. The behavior simply happens automatically, daily, quietly. Do that for 70 years and you'll look like a genius, even if you aren't. I learned many of Warren's habits later, but later comes with a bill. For example, when I was younger, my curiosity led me to jump into multiple interests: law, architecture, real estate, business building. It made me versatile, resilient, and knowledgeable. But it did not make me wealthier than Warren. Warren narrowed early. He narrowed, and narrowing late is the financial equivalent of running a marathon after losing the first 10 miles. Let's talk about reading. Warren reads as if reading is oxygen. Oars every day. Not to feel smart, not to sound smart, but because information is the only reliable edge in markets. When we were young, Warren was reading 10 hours a day. I wasn't. Warren absorbed more data, more patterns, more history, more stupidity to avoid, more opportunity to seize. And because of that, his decisions were correct.